Hi everyone, this is Sharon. I am here today to share my latest design team project for the Graphics Fairy. And for my project, I created this journal. It was originally inspired by the Black and Cream ephemera bundle that came out a number of weeks back, and I kind of just took it from there. My original intention was to do a completely neutral black, cream, tan, off-white kind of a journal. But I didn't get too far into it before I already started interjecting a bunch of colors. So I think it's got a very kind of a soft feminine feel, a lot of neutrals, but also some colors interjected as well. So for the cover, I found myself going on the black theme, an old battered up black book cover. And the book cover already had its spine pretty much removed from the covers. And so what I decided to do was just create a fabric spine, and that allowed me to make it as thick as I wanted to. And I used this tapestry fabric that I've had for many, many, many years. I think I got it at an antique mall years ago, and I just love it. I've been using portions of it, but I really love the colors in there. And for the tie, I used this kind of bluish gray silk ribbon. On the front cover, I decided to add this, it's kind of like a cabinet card. It's on heavy cardboard or cardstock, and it's embossed, and it has this picture of this woman on the front. And at the bottom, it says the ideal head. And I also found this at an antique mall, I believe, a number of years back. I punched along the bottom of it, and I decided to put the ideal head on my cover of the journal. I was thinking the ideal head is appropriate for a journal because not so much from physical features, but more from the perspective of the ideal head pouring its thoughts and words and creations into the pages of the journal. So if we go inside, I'll talk a little bit about the construction of the cover. What I did was take this tapestry fabric, one large piece, and sewed my signatures to it and used that for the inside cover, front and back. And then I attached my front and back book covers to that piece of fabric. On the inside, like I said, lots of black and creams. It kind of morphed into a little bit of a royal theme, I would say, because I used quite a few images from the Royal Life bundle as well. And that's where this one is from. And on this page, I took a coffee-dyed paper doily and attached it to the side of the page and just kind of used it as a flip out. And under there, I used this image from one of the bundles, and I will again list all of the bundles below that I used in creating this journal. I like to use, a theme, kind of a jumping off point, and then from there I really like to combine lots of different bundles and images. I used a lot of patterns on the back sides of some of the pages, and I kept them light enough where you could easily still use those as journaling pages. I also used quite a bit of my own antique and vintage ephemera. So I've got some of that in this pocket, this French postcard. I've also used some old book pages. I like incorporating those and mixing those with the digital, so that's what I did here. This is actually a card from an 1875 little photo booklet on the Centennial of the United States. Here I embossed some handmade paper and just created a little bit of a tuck there. And then in there, I created this tag. And these are some of the images. I did use quite a bit of the images from the Black and Cream ephemera bundle. And I probably should just show you some of the printouts that I used from that bundle. There were lots of really pretty journaling cards in there. That one, and this is another sheet with journaling cards on it. I've used a lot of these. And then the washi tapes. A lot of the bundles have washi tape in varying sizes, and I really love to use those in my projects as well, and I used quite a bit of these throughout my journal also. I wanted to mention that what I do for those is I actually print them on a full-size 8.5 by 11. It's an Avery one sheet label. It's a clear label, and then I can cut those strips out, and you can peel the backs of these labels off, and it's a little bit transparent, almost like, you know, normal washi. And it works really well. You can cut your strips whatever size you like. Here is one of the images from the Royal Life bundle. Also, I've got a number of these ladies in here. Here I did a piece of sheer fabric as a flip, and then I've got some writing pages under there. This is a really delicate piece of ephemera from I think the 1930s. It's Swedish. I used that as my page, and in there I made this tag and added some polka dotted sari silk. Here I made a pocket, and in there I created this journaling card. And this is an old advertising page from a magazine, and I just created this thing that flips up, and then this beautiful old stained glass window tucks in here, and that flips down, so you get quite a bit of writing space. And I just backed that with some ledger paper. Here, as you can see, I interjected some of the color that I love. For this center signature, I have a couple of book pages from a botanical book. There's some wheat and things on there, and I thought these little feathers went well with the wheat, so I added those onto my strings. And then just put a couple of tabs down here and created some large pockets. And in there, I made some large tags. Back those with ledger paper. I punched some book pages here. Back this with a map page and added a sticker. Here's some of the journaling pages from the black and cream kit, and I just cut those as headers on there. And then across the top of the page, I used one of the washi tapes to kind of trim that off. Here I love incorporating blueprints, so I added that, and there's lots of journaling space on the back of that sheet. For this page, I took, it was a calling card, and I just blew it up and enlarged it so I could use it as a page. So that's Kitty. And then here's another tag. Little tuck on the top of that page. Here I added a little bit of sari as a trim ruffle on the top. And in the side here, again, I used some of the washi for my book page. And then this is a piece from the black and cream bundle. And I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but I just did some very faint stenciling on the back. So that would be a really nice place to journal. Do that later. Okay. Here I added and stitched onto this page a few pieces of plain paper that can be used to journal on. And then here I created this little lace pocket, and then this journaling card. Here you could, I folded this up because I had the extra room, but you could staple or glue these and create little pockets, or just use the whole thing as a place to journal. In the center, I added this bookmark that I made from the spine, so you can see it's very tattered and worn. It would not have held up in this journal. I added some of that tapestry fabric on the front here just to trim it up a little bit, and then an image on the back side. Here I took an envelope to create a tuck spot, and then in there I added this Botanical book page as a journaling card. This is a very old document from, looks like the 1880s. I think it'll hold up pretty well. It's a little delicate, but seems to be pretty strong, but it's got some really beautiful handwriting on it. That's an original. On this side of the page, I tucked a couple of items here. I just had some crinkly cream paper that's going to make a nice place to write or tuck something into. And I added a little wax seal and a pressed flower on there. Then here I used an old book page to create a journaling card. Page from one of my bird books. And then I printed this image on vellum. This is one of the original book pages from the cover. In this pocket, I created a journaling card. And this flips up. I added a stamp on the top and some ledger paper and a nice place to journal there. This is a page from a calendar book that I have. And this is a page from an old, it's a vintage book, but it's this page is called the Flower Calendar. I just add a little piece of stamped velvet on there. And then on the inside, the image from that book page is called The Seasons, and this is just an image of the harvest of the grapes. Up here I added a piece of nice fancy trim, and in there I tucked this journaling card, and I just created kind of a little V-shaped pocket on the back. Tucked a little journaling card in there. On this side of the page, I took some of my own flowers from outside my house and pressed those, and then added those with a wax seal. This is lavender. I don't know if it smelled yet or not. I'll smell it later. Here on this page, again, I trimmed up with some of the washi. Here I punched out some metallic paper, and it was silver, and I just aged it up a little bit with some ink and created a couple strips that act as a tuck spot. And then in there I created a couple of these journaling cards. This one, actually, the wings of the butterflies flip up. I was inspired by Terry Colte's butterfly tag tutorial, and she had her wings kind of loose like that too, which I like. And then I just back that so they can be written on. This one, I took a piece of cheesecloth, stamped that image on there, and stitched it on. I just embellished the top of this page with a little cluster of fabric, cheesecloth that I stamped, and some lace. In this pocket, I created a belly band with this fabric. And in there, I created this journaling card. This is an old piece of ledger paper from 1890. I just added a little side tuck on there. And then some places to journal on the inside. Here's the other side of that old French document. Here I created another fabric flip with some really pretty lacy sheer fabric. And then I just added this little embellishment with the button on top. And then there's some writing paper underneath there. Some more pretty images from Black and Cream and from Real Life. On this page, I created a little kind of a corner tuck here. I shouldn't say little, it's large. But I used a Botanical catalog page, and I just adhered that to the page and then created this flip out. It says, "Where are the apples of yesteryear?" And there is actually some space in there to journal as well. And then in that tuck, I created this tag and added this old piece of ledger. And then under there, I just added the stamp of the, or I actually printed this onto the page first. It's not a stamp, it's one from one of the bundles. Here I use some vintage wallpaper as my pocket, and in there I created this journaling card. I found this handsome man image and I added a stamp on there. And then I used as my base a flashcard and added some grid paper for journaling. And while I was looking at his image, I found this image of this lady too. So I put her on the back. I just had to have them on this tag staring each other down. Here's some vintage music paper, and then I just added a fabric ruffle and did some hand stitching on there. On this page I created a belly band with some embossed paper, and then in there I tucked this beautiful old invoice. I think it's German, and it's dated 1939. Lots of place to journal on the back of that one. On this page, I created a little bit of a tuck spot in the center there and added some stitching on there. And then in there, I have this journaling page. Kind of created a little mini booklet, added some charms on there. And then in here, I just added some pages. I had to incorporate this shoe somewhere because I just love that shoe, so I put it in the center. I love adding old envelopes as pages, and there's lots of place on here to journal. For this center area here, I created a couple of shallow pockets and stitched them up on the side and reinforced them with this fabric. And then in there, I just tucked these pieces of grid paper. I like the way the grid paper looked with the printed page, and I just punched those on the top. And then also in each pocket, I altered these. They're actually playing cards, and this deck is from the late 1800s. I just love the style of the numbers and things on there. And then for some reason, I'm not a bug person, but this guy was just screaming to be on here. So I put him there with the butterfly. And on the tuck on this side, I inserted this letter, which is from one of the bundles on the premium site. Really pretty handwriting on there, a letter to Mary. And then the back I just stamped a little bit, and that can be used for writing as well. On this page, I added a fabric ruffle and some tatted trim on there. Then over here, I just love this beautiful moth image, so I treated that with some beeswax and glued it to the page and used that as a tuck. And in there I put this French postcard. On this page I created an envelope from an old piece of ledger and tied that up, did a little bit of stamping on there. And then I tucked some goodies inside of that. And then on this page, I have another fabric flip with this beautiful fabric and some space to journal underneath and mother of pearl button on the top of that. In this last page, I just layered this image of the chandelier over this wallpaper image, and I really like the way that looks. And that is it. So this journal will be available in my Etsy shop when this ears, and hopefully you enjoyed that flip through. Until next time, bye-bye.